Well, it's 7 p.m. here in Ohio, and it's time for another live860 podcast. Thank you for joining us. We're glad that you're with us this evening. And as it is episode 16, every 8th episode, we decided that we were going to kind of flip the script and do something different. Just conveniently worked out that last week we finished the book of Judges, and so gave us an opportunity for our 16th episode to do something completely different. And I'm going to be your host for the evening. My name is Khris Rogers, pastor of Church 860. And with me, our guest this evening is our normal host,
right.
Rob Chandler. And we're glad to have you with us, Rob. And
since I own the joint,
yeah,
it's easy for me to be here.
If you weren't here, we wouldn't have gotten in.
That's right.
But for our 16th episode, what I thought we would do, or actually it was your idea, but I think it was a good one, is that I'm going to interview you, that people, because right now, where we are in our 16th episode, the majority of the people that are watching this live stream or listening to the podcast are people from church. And so I thought it would be good to kind of get to know the guy behind the guitar,
Right.
and learn about who you are. And it's not that you're new to the church. You guys have been coming for quite a while now,
Right.
but just to kind of hear your backstory and let the people that attend Church 860 learn about who one of their elders is.
Right.
And I want to start by saying I am incredibly blessed and pleased that you agreed to be an elder.
Thank you.
And that you and Chris, who is our other elder, Lisa's husband, have come alongside me and partnered with me in the vision of Church 860. Has been a huge blessing. For those of you that don't know, we planted Church 860 in 2016, and for the first, more than half of it, we had my elder board were other Calvary Chapel pastors. And so I would meet with those pastors once a year to kind of give them an update of everything that was going on. But they were certainly not involved in the week-to-week decisions and the things that we were doing. So having in-house elders has been fantastic. So, and to count both you and Chris as close friends is just like icing on the cake. And
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Feel the same way.
Well, great. So we want to, I guess, in full disclosure, I didn't write these questions. I almost looked at this as a week off from having to do anything. And so I just put in a prompt to Chat GPT and said, hey, what would be some great interview questions for a 1 hour long
I'm
podcast?
going to do the same for my answers.
Oh, nice. To just pull up whatever. And so in full disclosure, we'll just use this as a conversation,
Right.
launching point for
Right.
a conversation. So,
See where the Lord leads it.
exactly. So, to begin, let's go back to the beginning, and I'm not
Sure.
talking your hospital stay, right after birth or anything like that. But how did you end up giving your life to Christ? When did that happen? Kind of give us the backstory of your faith journey.
I was born a poor white Appalachian, and as such, a lot of people lived in my house.
Okay.
So that does lay some groundwork.
Sure.
I'll be very brief, but at the time that my mom got pregnant with me, Mom and Dad didn't think they could get pregnant, and Dad had moved his parents in who were somewhat ailing. And then found out, and my mom's full-time job was to take care of my dad's parents while he was at work, and then found out that she was pregnant.
Wow.
And it's, what do we do now? And we had an aunt through marriage that was a retiree, and she actually came to live with us. So she had, and this is a 1912 farmhouse.
Wow.
So she had a basement apartment. My grandparents lived on the main floor, and my parents had an apartment on the top floor.
Wow.
And so she kind of looked after me while Mom was looking after her in-laws.
I see.
Until Dad got home. My granddad had been a church planter and a deacon for many years, even though my dad at this time was not saved.
Yeah.
And my Aunt Hazel, we called her Aunt Hayes, when she was babysitting me, she didn't read me children's picture books and sing ABCs and things like that. It was the King James Bible.
Wow. Okay.
Right. And she would ask me questions about it. And so that really laid a lot of the groundwork. So I don't remember a time when Christ wasn't present in my life through the people around me.
Okay.
Even to the point that, and I still have the picture to this day, I have an uncle that painted a picture of Jesus. And Mom and Dad said that once I started talking, when they would pick me up to take me upstairs to bed, that I had to go and kiss Jesus before I would go to bed.
Wow.
So that kind of laid the groundwork. My mom had me and my brother in church. And when I was 9 years old, felt the tug and in children's church, said the prayer, was baptized at 12 at youth camp.
Okay.
And had a sense and had a knowing and was very serious about following Christ, but really didn't quite get it until I was 19 years old and went through, a couple things that college kids do.
Yeah.
And at that point, just really hit a point of surrender.
Okay.
And that was in May of '91, where I just kind of laid it all on the line and gave it to God. And even though I have stumbled and struggled and stretched and grown and all those different things, that's kind of the point where I say the seriousness of my faith walk began.
Love it. Love it. Tell me about your music background.
Sure. So I always had a love of music. There's pictures of me carrying little guitars around, and Mom and Dad said I was always singing, and my dad played guitar. I was fascinated by it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a love of Glenn Campbell. I'm old enough that I remember the Glenn Campbell show and him playing guitar, and I was 3 or 4 years old, knew all the words to the Rhinestone Cowboy.
Wow.
To that whole album, and just really had a love for it. Got my first guitar at 9 years old. Dad started teaching me and came up through with learning from him and anybody I could get around, and some self-taught things. And yeah, so it's most people that know me in most walks of life, I think, kind of see that as part of my identity as a musician, guitar player.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And tell me about when faith and music kind of collided and you decided to use music for God's glory.
So it was at that point when I nailed everything down at 19 years old.
Yeah.
So I was in prayer, and I had been kind of in and out of church at my old home church, not necessarily going all the time.
Mm-hmm.
My family was not attending regularly at this point, and so it was just on me. And, before I drove, I would get rides from people and whatnot. So, but at this point, is obviously driving and everything. But I was praying and just laid it all on the Lord, all on the line, and told the Lord, if you see anything in me useful, this love of music, this gift of music you have given me, I will give to you.
Mm.
I will dedicate it to you.
Okay.
So that was on a Monday night. Within 24 hours, I'm sitting at my desk studying for a physics final at OSU that I was probably going to fail. And the phone rang, and it was an old friend from my home church that said, "Hey, are you still playing music?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you play bass?" I said, "It's not my first thing, but yeah, I can play."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Well, we've put together a little gospel group. We do some bluegrass, some folk, some Southern gospel, things like that. We're having trouble keeping it together. We need a bass to ground everything. Would you be interested?"
Okay.
This was less than 24 hours.
Pretty neat way for God to answer.
And I said, "When do you practice?" He said, "Well, we're practicing right now." I said, "Okay, I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Huh.
And that's how me being involved in music ministry started.
Gotcha.
Was the within 24 hours of me committing that to Christ.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And then how did that develop into your guys' band? And
Right. So that following summer, my cousin, who lived in Dayton, was going to be coming and attending OSU. He was transferring from Bowling Green.
Okay.
And he had a good friend from high school that was also a musician. And this guy's roommate at OSU was a drummer. And we all met up at all places at a Van Halen concert that summer. But got to talking before the concert and
thought might as well jump.
Might as well jump. Exactly. That's very good. Yep. And stop running with the devil.
Right. Right.
And so we got to talking, and we were all going to be at Ohio State. We're all attending some flavor of Baptist church at the time, and decided that we would get together maybe once a month, or when we had like the federal holidays off from school, to get together at my house in Westerville and just to keep our chops up.
Okay.
And we got together that very first weekend, which was, it would have been November 11th of 1991. It was Veterans Day weekend, and we had a long weekend, and we packed in and we played for 3 days straight and wrote 6 or 7 originals.
Wow.
And they were all Christian, gospel oriented, very much rock, but very evangelic in nature.
Okay.
And so we came away from there knowing that we had a band and a ministry and not just a group of guys getting together to jam out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that continued over the years and in different formations and some mild success here and there.
What was your favorite gig?
Oh, I would say one that we had that was kind of a running gig. We played a place in Westerville called Cappuccino Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they had Christian night on Wednesdays, and that's how we started.
Okay.
And then we started playing, I think, 2 or 3 times a month, and they started having us on Saturday nights as well. So we had somewhat of a regular residency type of thing, and got to where, even though it was small, it was just a whole lot of fun. And a lot of people came in. We always presented the gospel. Some people came to Christ during those times.
Wow.
But there were several nights that they actually had to lock the doors because they were already breaking fire code.
Wow.
With the attendance. So
where was that? I can't remember.
that was on East College.
Okay.
Above what's now like old school skateboards.
Oh, yes.
And all of that.
Yeah.
Above, it was above a place called Rosa's Deli.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably my favorite. Some of the ones that should have been my favorite, we were supposed to open for DC Talk over in West Virginia, close to West Virginia, Wheeling, for a big festival.
Yeah.
And then they blew up with the Jesus Freak album. So we only opened for Charlie Peacock. But he was late and we had to leave early, so we never got to meet him.
Oh,
even
wow.
though we opened for him. The other was out in Preble County for a fundraiser. We got hired to open for Steve Camp.
Oh, okay.
So, and it was very poorly promoted and attended. So there was like 50 people there, and most of them were our people. Felt bad for Steve Camp coming all that way.
Yeah.
He dedicated his time. He actually donated his fees for travel and gave money to the organization. It was for
Wow.
It was for Victim Witness Assistance Program
I see.
out there, and we had church. Even though it was 50 people in a grandstand in front of a big stage, he was there to share Jesus.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, so those are the most memorable ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you guys ever record?
Yeah, we did. We started, our first album was actually done on a 4-track recorder in the upstairs of my parents' house, and there's pictures where I took egg crates and hung and tried to sound treat and all those types of things.
Yep.
And it was 7 songs, all originals,
Okay.
that we recorded. And then I was working at the time as an intern / assistant engineer at Music Hall Studios here in Columbus.
Yeah.
And so we took the 4-track down there and mixed down and overdubbed the vocals.
Oh, okay.
On the fly. So you've got these guys that made this album with Radio Shack mics on a tape player, but all the lead vocals are on a very high-end Neumann U87
Yeah.
in a commercial recording studio. It came out pretty good. And then our second album we actually did at Music Hall.
Oh, nice.
And it was a full 10-song album, all originals. And our drummer's father-in-law was in the printing business, so he did the old, back in the days of cassettes, the J-card printing and all of that. We didn't have the money, but the owner of Music Hall was an International Harvester collector. I had an International Harvester Scout that was my first vehicle, and he wanted it. So I traded that Scout for the full recording cost.
Huh.
Yeah, so that's how we did the second album.
That's
it was
wild.
called Testify.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Our band, we always hoped we could get enough money together, scrounge enough money to try to get in the studio. It never happened. We did the 4-track bouncing tracks back and forth and all. And, you know, you go back and listen to it, and it's like, oh my gosh, how did we dare sell this? So, I guess one of the veins we haven't talked about yet is your recording side. So talk about how you got into that and where we're at.
I had an interest from the time I was probably in the 7th or 8th grade. I had seen the movie The Buddy Holly Story. And there's one scene where Buddy Holly is getting ready to do what's called an overdub. And in the 50s, that was kind of rare. They just recorded direct to tape or direct to disc.
Live, essentially. Yeah.
And the producer asked Buddy, where did you learn about that? And he said, same place you did, old Les Paul. A lot of people don't know the Les Paul guitar is actually named after a person, a guitar player named Les Paul, and he developed a lot of the multi-track ideas that are now just commonplace in recording.
Yeah.
I got a hold of every book I could from the library, was interested, started setting up 2 boom boxes where I would play one part into a boom box and then play it back and try and get the level right against my guitar amp and set up the other boom box and play along with it to get the overdubs going and keep going back and forth until I had a full band.
Yeah.
And that was probably around the 8th grade. And then our neighbor had a 4-track. I had no idea what it was. Went down there, was fascinated. He recorded some stuff for me. I knew that's what I wanted to do. That was plan A.
Yeah.
So at 19, I got the 4-track that we did our first album on and started looking around, calling studios. And a friend of a friend referred me to John Hall. We went to church together.
Yeah.
At Music Hall Studios here in Columbus. He hired me. It was a paid internship. 1992, I think. I was making $10 an hour
That's
as a
decent money
college
back
kid,
then,
as a paid intern.
Yeah.
And that started it. So I did a lot of neat projects, worked there part-time for about 3 years, and, but had to have full-time money.
Yeah.
You know, so wound up with a paid long-term hobby in local government. And continued to do the recording and the music where I could.
Yeah.
And so launched again, doing it more beyond just my bands and family and friends and sitting in on other people's sessions. Back around 2012, 2013.
Okay.
And have just grown it more professional and more commercially since then.
Right.
And it's what I do full time now.
So Never Ending essentially started 2012-ish.
As far as the recording end of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, it's one of my favorite places to hang out for sure.
Me too.
I love getting to see what the Lord's doing in and through Never Ending Studios. It's been a huge blessing. So, tell me about how. No, let's go here. When in your walk of faith, when do you think was the first time that you noticed that you were being led to lead?
It was in those band situations when the Christian band first started and we got our first gigs. We didn't have a set leader per se, but I had been kind of the guy in the practice room that planned things out, ran the logistics, worked back through the music. I'm not going to say the best musician in the world, but probably, or in the room, but probably the most experienced at that time.
Okay.
I guess. And so it just kind of morphed into that. And then when we started playing, next thing you know, I was doing a lot of the booking. I was running sound. I was doing a lot of the promotions, and then kind of became the default frontman, even though we had a lead singer and then me and the bass player swapped some lead singing.
Okay.
We did, it was, but I was kind of the guy that talked to the crowd and wound up every time we played, we presented the gospel. We took time and we presented the gospel, and that was rule number one.
That's pretty cool.
And so that was probably the first inkling that I got. Here I am standing on a stage in front of 2 people or 700, and with a guitar hanging around my neck and presenting the gospel to people, and getting to pray with some people, leading some people to the Lord. The guys in the band kind of, in some respects, trusted me to kind of shepherd that little group of us in some regard. I don't want to overblow it. And around that same time, I was asked at my church if I would consider teaching Sunday school.
Oh, okay.
And I taught, my first teaching assignment was to middle school kids teaching through the minor prophets.
Wow.
Yeah. It was
set you up for failure.
It was make it or break it. It was make it or break it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was about that same time, the early to mid 90s, where it was kind of the first inklings that there might be some leadership going on.
And then how did that develop to, because you've been a pastor and you've been a worship leader. And
right. So just kind of over time, wound up then teaching teens, helping with youth, then teaching young adults, wound up married and on purpose and wound up at Genoa Baptist in Westerville for a time.
Yeah.
And got talking with one of the pastors. They brought me on to lead the band under the direction of the worship pastor. I was not paid staff or official or anything like that. Started teaching some Sunday school. And in 2003, they had started a Bible study up in Centerburg.
Okay.
There were quite a few people from Centerburg coming down to Genoa. And that went on for about 6 months. And the guy leading it, who was an ordained pastor, was approached about, we need to plant a church. And he approached me about coming on as the worship leader.
Okay.
And to be set aside for 6 months of evaluation to be considered as assistant pastor / elder.
Gotcha.
Right. And so 2003 I was ordained, and that was my first official church office in leadership, I guess you'd say, versus lay leadership.
Yeah.
And served as an elder and pastor there, and kind of most places I've been since.
And since you were involved in a church plant, you know all of the challenges and of setting up and tearing down and
every week.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
We
being
met
mobile church, and
we met in the dining room of a pizza place in an old building. All of the sound equipment was stored upstairs. My wife and I would get there about 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And us and one of the other elders would set up all the tables and chairs. The band wouldn't show up to warm up until 9, and I moved all of that sound equipment downstairs by myself.
Yeah.
And set it up and had it ready when they walked in. Drums, everything.
Wow.
So yeah, now thankfully they did all the breakdown and put it away at the end of the
end of the day.
Right. So, yeah. So I'm very familiar, and I'm thankful that we have a dedicated space where we can just unlock the door and hit the switch.
Yeah, Reese and Kindu, my sons, would gladly agree with you on that, because they were the ones that it was the three of us that were often in there setting things up early in the morning and whatnot. So I don't know how many times I scalped my head on the trailer trying to bring chairs through and whatnot. So but in those seasons, they certainly it teaches you the idea that ministry is service.
Absolutely,
and that we're called to lay our lives down for the sheep that we love. And so,
right.
Yeah.
And it was interesting with that little church, because there are plenty of churches in town, very good churches in town. And it's kind of at the time it was kind of a poor town with a lot of problems. And what I really loved about the idea there was that the church, because we didn't own 4 walls, we didn't have a dedicated 4 walls, we were definitely out in the community. And we were pastors and ministers to the community well outside of that church.
Yeah.
And we got to partner with some of the other churches in town. They were doing the same type of thing. So a little bit different than what sometimes you see in a more traditional church in a bigger city.
Yeah.
That's not so much in a kind of insulated community.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Tell me about your first marriage.
Sure. So how far back do you want to go? All the way?
Sure.
Yeah. So I was playing with that gospel group.
Yep.
It had morphed into a three-piece, and I was playing guitar and mandolin, a little bit of harmonica, a little bit of everything else. And we got asked to play at a church in South Columbus. I had never dated, never had a girlfriend. It wasn't for a lack of trying. It was just total rejection.
Yeah.
I got the F word used on me a lot. Friend.
Friend word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I already got somebody that loves me like a brother. So anyhow, so we went down and played for youth on a Wednesday night. It was September 23rd, 1992.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this little gal that I had seen her, but didn't think much. And one of the guys in the band, they were all 15, 20 years older than me. And he had noticed her noticing me.
Mm.
And then after we played, asked around and asked, how old she was and was she dating anybody and all that kind of stuff. On our way home, he is really goading me into, she was interested in you. You need to get her number. And I said, no, it just never works out. My cousin was riding with us and said, Rob can't turn down a dare. He cannot do it. And so one of the guys in the band, Mark, turns to me and said, I triple dog dare you, and you are a spineless wisp of a man if you do not get a hold of the youth pastor and get her number. She was helping with the youth ministry.
Okay.
And so I called, and they had church. The churches I grew up in had Sunday night church.
Yeah.
And so that following Sunday night, I went down, and he introduced us. I asked her out for coffee. We dated for 3 years, each other's first and only boyfriend, girlfriend.
Mm.
And we were married in 1995.
Yeah.
Long before I was called into any type of eldership or pastoring ministry. But she was also a singer. And so she followed the band. She was on worship teams with me.
Okay.
Right at my right elbow, singing alto, and supported me through every bit of ministry.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, when we went out to Centerburg, we were living in Columbus. And I just got this inkling, I cannot pastor to a community that I live 25 miles from.
Oh, yeah.
If God's going to call me to a community, I have to be in it.
Yeah.
I have to be a part of it. And talked with her. We prayed over it and put everything up for sale. We were going through the adoption process. I was in school nights and weekends. We were both working full time.
Goodness.
I had 2 bands going.
Wow.
And we had started with the pastoring at the church,
Mm-hmm.
and we just hadn't moved out there yet. And she said, yeah, let's do it. So we put the house up for sale and pulled up stakes and went to Centerburg. I was there for 15 years and involved in ministry in Knox County at that time.
Pretty cool step of faith. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how we got together.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. And then life goes on and continues.
Right.
She ends up getting sick.
Right.
And just tell me about.
Sure. She had a lifelong pediatric disease that affects the blood, and she had to have a full 3-unit blood transfusion every 3 weeks of her entire life in order to live.
Wow. Because
her red blood cells, while they were there, they would not carry any oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
They were there. They just didn't do their job. So since I was a government worker, I can say this, they're like government workers. They were there, but nobody really knew why.
You're right.
And it had its challenges, but she did fine with it because she was very, very compliant with the regimen. She had to take an IV every night for 12 hours that would help take the iron overload caused by the transfusions off of her vital organs. Mm. And long story short, we dealt with that, like I say, just fine for a long time. Her prognosis was, barring any other catastrophic issues, they didn't see why she wouldn't have a relatively normal lifespan. Mm-hmm. Now, when we started looking at having kids, it was deemed that pregnancy, if she could get pregnant, was way too high risk.
Gotcha.
We tried to adopt. Things did not work out.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2013, in September, she started getting really sick and having issues. And so we were going through a lot of different treatment. Knew that we had medical mountains to climb, but nobody was talking about this being the end.
Yeah.
Nobody thought that because she was just tough.
Mm.
And so it was actually, she took a tumble and bumped her head in the middle of doing a lot of, she was getting weak, and took her in, and they took a look at her. She had a mild brain bleed, so they admitted her for observation. She had been doing pretty well. And in that span of time, the dominoes just started falling, and she started into major organ failure. And as delicate as her systems were from decades of treatment and being just kind of consumed, in fact, it was 12 years ago tonight that she was shipped from a regular hospital room while she was losing her mind into ICU and never came out.
Right.
And she passed November 5th of 2013.
So you guys had been married 18 years?
Yeah, 18 and a half years. Together, a little over 20. Yeah.
I can't imagine
22.
having walked through that.
Yeah. I can't either, and I did it.
Yeah, I know.
It's, you're a stranger in your own life immediately, is the best way I can put it.
Yeah. And knowing that you became a widow, at a relatively young age,
Right, I was
and
41.
then learning to walk through all of what. Let me ask before I say that. What happened to your faith in those hours? In those, especially the year that year, let's say.
Well, at first it was very, very strong. It didn't rocket at first because I was ignorant. So while I did not expect to lose her, and while it was horrible, devastating, all those things, I'd grown up in the church. I was a pastor. I was a Christian. And had kind of bought into the candy-coated idea that if you love Jesus, all things work together for good, right?
Yeah.
So, but what I had missed is it doesn't say all things are good.
Yeah.
And so that idea that at first thinking, well, she's so faithful, we do so much in the ministry, he's going to heal her.
Yeah.
And then it didn't happen. And then I really, really thought that I would be fine because I had Jesus. And to some extent that was true. But about 6 months in, a lot of realities hit.
Yeah.
And so I never lost my faith in God. I never lost my faith in the saving power of Jesus.
Sure.
Where I struggled, and where some days I still struggle, quite honestly, is there's a lot of others that he favors and loves more than me. Because I have gone through these things. I have suffered these things. I have hurt. I have felt incredibly distant while I called out to him.
Yeah.
I prayed and prayed and prayed for a lot of different things. People gathering in around me and agreeing in prayer and all the Christianese you hear, and, 2 or more are gathered, and if you pray in agreement and you pray in my name and all those types of things. And my wife was still dead, and I hurt.
Yeah.
And that stacked upon some experiences with, leading churches that can be painful, and going through the heartbreak of not being able to have kids, and then getting rejected from the adoption process and all those types of different things. All I can say was just a struggle, a daily struggle.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of times that I would go to bed at night just begging God to take me home, since I had become so useless. and I didn't see any other reason to stick around. I was not suicidal, but I sure hoped that he would give me the same grace he gave my wife,
Yeah.
and would wake up disappointed that I woke up
Wow.
a lot of times. Yeah. So that, that was a struggle for a long time. And like I say, there's times that there's twinges of that.
Sure.
I miss her, but I don't live with a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. By no means, as I know your story and,
Yeah.
and all that you've walked through, I have never once thought that you have been given an easy life by any means. But at the same time, I am grateful for what the Lord has brought you through, because in many ways it paved the way for you to come alongside
Right.
my daughter, who became a widow after
Right.
20 months. And
Right.
and so I know that the experiences that you have had have been a huge help to her.
Right.
And so if for nothing else, I would say thank you for that. But
If I weren't able to share that, or if I kept that to myself, and those feelings and the things that I have walked through and what it's like, then my experience would be a total waste.
Right.
And I think what makes me a little bit different in that situation is, I write quite a bit. I'm a big goofball, and I joke around,
That's what we love.
but I know that I'm fairly articulate, and I can share emotions and feelings a lot easier than a lot of people can.
Yeah.
And I can put thoughts into words that a lot of people can't.
Yeah.
And so that has been one of the things that came out of it, was being able to express those things so that people who would hopefully never have to walk through it, but will, would have some understanding, and that the people that stand next to them would have some understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have helped me with that in caring for my daughter too, and so very, very, very grateful. So, and then that happened 2013. You said,
Right.
Tell me about when you met Tiffany and
Right.
how that came.
My brother was her parole officer. No, I'm teasing. That's what
I was like, I don't know this story.
That's what I told her dad the first time I met him, and he just, he's like, Dad, no, he's a big joker. Yeah. So I had dated a little bit, and it's weird when you've never dated at all, because remember, Melissa was my first girlfriend, and only girlfriend. And to be out there in the world in your mid-40s, and like my brother says, it's like showing up to a yard sale at 3:00 on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get it.
and I'll just leave that there.
Yeah.
You can't just leave with the one thing that you want. You got a whole lot of other stuff they want you to take. And I likened it to, we're all of an age where we all have baggage, but there's a difference between showing up with it packed in Samsonite and asking for help versus pulling up and dumping it out of trash bags on somebody's front lawn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was a bit of a wild ride, and I had one relationship that we almost got married and things didn't work out. And my first breakup at 44 or 45 years old, that I was reduced to an 8th grade girl listening to Taylor Swift and eating ice. No, but close. So anyhow, I had tried the online dating thing, and it was just crazy.
Yeah.
And so I had sworn off the dating apps, and that's how it's done nowadays.
Yeah.
And actually got on to shut down all my accounts. And they do this thing where, here's 3 people that you might be interested in. And I had never seen Tiffany before, and she popped up, and I thought, whatever. Looked at her profile, and it was plain that she was very serious about her faith.
Yeah.
Her whole profile was just a series of questions. Like, are you somebody who stands on integrity? Are you a dog lover? Do you like motorcycles? Do you basically, are you a grown man that has his stuff together?
Right.
Type of thing.
Right.
But the biggest thing was, are you a Christian that walks it and doesn't just say it.
Mm.
Right? And so I answered her email, fully expecting never to hear anything again.
Right.
And she answered back within the day. And a couple weeks later, we met for coffee, and it was 3 or 4 hour date. We just really clicked.
Yeah.
And that was January 14th, 2017.
Okay.
On a Saturday afternoon. The biggest stressor of that was I had forgotten to throw my laundry into the dryer that morning. And I was so afraid that I was going to have to hang my shorts off the car antenna to get them dry by the time I got there. But thankfully, the hairdryer worked, so I was, fully dressed.
Well, good. Yeah.
And everything.
That's good for a first date.
For a first date, to have your undergarments in place.
Yes.
So, yeah, but we took it very, very slow, and our dates were mostly sitting either at her dining room table or mine and talking.
Mm.
And so April of 2017, we decided that it was a serious thing.
Yeah.
In fact, she called me on her way to work and said, "Can I stop by your office? I need to talk to you." And I went, "Yeah." Because this was hey, it's been fun.
Yeah.
And she just rushes in my office and like half out of breath. And I'm like,
uh-oh.
Yeah. So I'm looking for the box with, the gifts I've given her.
Right.
And she says, I was talking to some people this morning and I realized I love you.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's that was the turning point.
That's pretty cool.
And her version of the story was she had not been online dating, and she heard 3 times during prayer, get on the internet.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah. So we got married in April of 2018.
And then how did you end up at Church 860?
So we had been, I was kind of church homeless, somewhat. I still consider my home church the last one that I had assistant pastored at when Melissa had passed on.
Right.
But I was playing in a bluegrass gospel group, and we were out almost every weekend.
Mm.
So I really didn't have a dedicated church home per se, because I was never around.
Right.
So when I was in town, I started going to church where she attended, where she had gotten saved, which was Vineyard Westerville. And so it was 2019. And as you know, I had kept up with what was going on with Church 860 from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I knew your wife back from middle school.
Right.
And we had been in contact and just had kind of talked back and forth over Facebook about ministry and all those different types of things. And
I remember talking on Main Street during a Fourth Friday once.
Yeah, when I ran up to you and I'm like, "Hey, Pastor Khris." And you're like, "Who is this guy?"
Had no idea.
Had no idea you were handing out water. And I'm like, just wanted to let you know, friend of Michelle's, really love what you guys are doing. Gave some support here and there as we could and different things, and just kept watching. And we had been attending on Saturday nights, and I told Tiffany one Sunday morning, I said, I have watched the ministry, I've supported it, I have never gone and supported in person. I'm going to go. Would you like to go with me? And she said, sure. And, really gleaned a lot. You were teaching through Genesis.
Okay.
And pretty early on in Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next week, same thing. Went to Vineyard Saturday night. I said, I'm going to go to 860. She said, yeah, I want to go with you.
Yeah.
The next week, I said, are we going to 2 churches? And she said, nope. I said, you want to go to 860? And she said, yes. And I said, why? Because she was a pretty new Christian. She had been saved 2 or 3 years at this point.
Yeah.
Because she was saved about 1.5 years before she and I met.
Okay.
1 year, I think. And I asked her, and she said, I didn't grow up in the church. I sit through sermon after sermon and don't understand because I don't know the backstory. I don't know the reasons why. I just know what's being presented. And I'm filled with more questions than answers.
Wow.
And she said, this was the first place I went because of teaching chapter by chapter and being in Genesis, that I'm starting to really learn what in the world is going on and why.
Wow.
And that's how we wound up there.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all Tiffany's fault.
It's 100% Tiffany's fault. Anything you have to deal with me, she's to blame.
So let's tell our listeners about our conversation over coffee at the Java Central.
Anywhere that I've gone, it went like this. Just want to let you know, we're attending. You're going to see a fair bit of us. Not committing to anything. If we're not there on a Sunday morning, don't think anything of it. We like to travel from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every church I've been to, somebody finds out about my music and about my preaching gifting and that I have been in church leadership. And next thing you know, I'm in the middle of it. I've been through some crap. I don't want to deal with it. So as I'm never going to say no completely to Jesus, but I'm going to tell you right now, I have no intention of getting involved. Please don't ask. And it was that direct, wasn't it?
It pretty much was. And I respected that at the time. And I just, you know what? Because we've had a lot of people come to our church
Right.
hurt or recovering from ministry hurts or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, as a church plant, we want to be a place where people can come
Right.
and heal.
Right.
And so that's fine. It's just funny how the Lord said,
Right. No, not so much.
Let's take a rain check on that. So,
Right.
because now you're in the worship ministry
Right.
and you're one of my elders. So,
Right.
or one of our elders, I
Right.
should say. So,
Correct.
But
Don't get much more involved.
I don't know how you could be more
Right.
until you take my place. But
Don't think so.
I love that story about Church 860 with Tiffany and
Yeah.
how the light bulb came on, and that's one of my favorite things in ministry is helping people to see the beauty of God's word, and it's just such a joy. So,
And I really wanted to be careful with her being a fairly new Christian. I didn't want to pull her from the place that she had been saved and was growing.
mm-hmm.
But I also kept an eye on, as the spiritual head of the household and being responsible before God for her spiritual growth as her husband and serving her. So when she started attending and I asked her why, the reason I asked her why was, if it was, I like the music, I find the pastor devastatingly handsome, whatever else. Well, those aren't good reasons.
Right.
But the fact that I found some place where I am really encouraged to dig in to the word and grow.
Yeah.
Okay, I can be on board with that.
Yeah.
And I would like to be at a place like that too. I've had, not to discount other churches, but I've been in church leadership almost 30 years, and I've kind of had enough of 3 pieces of scripture and a Dr. Phil talk.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. So, well, I guess that kind of answers the question, what you think makes Church 860 special. But what else could you speak to?
Yeah, so what I think makes it special, and understanding that we are not the only special church.
Sure.
We're one of many.
Yeah.
And so having that attitude and having that knowledge amongst us that we are part of a large body.
Yeah.
And not in competition, not trying to poach sheep.
Right.
Anything else like
Poach
that.
sheep.
Poach sheep.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll have to try that.
No, it's not what you think.
Like sous vide?
No, it's not what you think.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but the idea that there are real people there that aren't afraid to be real.
Yeah.
And it's an environment where you are encouraged to be a little messed up or a lot messed up and hurt and all those different things, and you can come, but we're going to gather up around you. We're not going to excuse sin. We're not going to celebrate sin. but we're all there.
No.
And we are going to lift one another up and pray one another through it. And as much as you are open to that, we're going to be there with you.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Tell me about your most funny or awkward moment in ministry history.
Okay, so the funniest one of all time, I was invited to preach a Sunday night service at a church, and it was kind of a little more traditional, I would say, a little bit more fundamental leaning church.
Okay.
Right? King James only.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, me being me, I walked in and I teased about how I was going to be preaching from the New Living Translation just to see the reaction.
Right.
But, it was fine. So anyhow, I was preaching out of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the love chapter.
Okay.
But not about marriage love, but what love within a congregation and outside the walls into a community looks like.
Okay.
If you call yourself Christian, this is what love looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's not held right here with just this group that we're in 100%.
Us four and no more. Yeah.
Exactly. None of that. So that was the basis, right? So there was a fella on the first row in a handicap cart, right? And as I'm preaching, he's just...
Yeah. Furrowed brow. And,
oh,
yeah.
my goodness. He definitely had that "you are not giving me a blessing" look.
Mm.
And about halfway through, while he's just glaring at me, he hits the joystick in reverse. Totally, never looks over his shoulder. All the way up the back aisle with this thing doing the reverse beep while I'm preaching.
Oh, my gosh.
So he's just... beep, 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 beep.
Never breaking eye contact.
Oh, dead eye contact. Dead eye contact with me, just glaring at me.
Oh, wow.
Beep, beep, all the way out the back doors. While I'm trying to make a point.
Yeah.
Afterward, people came up to me apologizing. It was everything I could do not to just roar with laughter. Well, I'd been walked out on, but never rolled out on.
That's great.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
I will cherish the moment because it was hilarious.
That's probably not the impression that guy wanted to leave with you.
Nope.
I would venture to
Nope.
guess, but
it was so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we're actually getting close to the
Yeah,
end
we
of the
are.
hour already. That's crazy to think about. Okay. How do you see God moving right now in our community, Church 860?
I see some walls with some people being broken down a little bit. And what I mean is, as an elder, you can see the faces that other people don't while you're standing up there and either preaching or leading worship. You can see what people are going through, and seeing the people that are a little bit guarded, seeing the folks that hold things kind of close to the vest, because a lot of people have been hurt.
Yeah.
And understandably so, and seeing some of that drop and crumble as they let people in. I'll pick on my wife a little bit. She will tell you that she doesn't like kids. She will tell you that she'd rather not be around kids. She never wanted kids. We don't have any.
Yeah.
But last Sunday,
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
we've got a 3.5-year-old boy that I'm buddies with, and he wanted to spend church with Tiffany. And so they were in the front row and clapping together and
Yeah.
all that type of stuff, and just big grins on her. And that's a small example, but I see a lot of that going on. I see people that have come from all over. I think of our friend Vicky that just showed up from Reno, Nevada.
Yeah.
And people gathering around her and loving her. And now it's hard to imagine a service without her because of just the joy she brings in there. And she's such a part. And I think that about all of our people. When they're not there, it's noticed, it's felt.
For sure.
And that's the biggest move I think I have seen going on in the last few months.
I love that. What's your vision for Church 860 going forward?
My vision is to really reach people that would not darken the door of a traditional church. to reach people that have wondered, to reach people that have not necessarily been in church, that maybe have preconceived notions about what it's all about,
Yeah.
but do truly have a desire to find out who the real Jesus is, who the scriptural Jesus is.
Yeah.
And kind of drop any, like I say, preconceived notions or prejudices, automatic assumptions
Yeah.
about the church at large, and see people come to him much as he did, much as his disciples did.
Yeah.
People that dirty, broken, need loved, that just really need that home and want to give their lives over. That's my vision
I love that.
for what we do.
And I think that's a great reason to be doing what we do on Thursday
Yeah,
nights in this
absolutely.
podcast, because it is a non-traditional way that people can experience the
Right.
scriptures and Jesus, and a little goofiness and
Well, sure.
you know, Gen X stupidity and whatnot. But yeah, ultimately, if this can be used as a tool to introduce people to Jesus, then we have done good things. So
100%.
yeah. All right. Let's do a round of rapid fire.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So lightning round.
Yes.
All right. What is, and this one's, all right. Give me your coffee order. I know what it is, but
Yeah.
you go ahead.
Hot, black, strong, and rich.
There you go. I have to have cream in it. I can't not. I just.
That's dessert.
See, I've started doing a little bit of honey or agave syrup, but most of the time it's no sweetener at all. But yeah, I've tried black a few times and I can't do it, man. You're a bitter man than me. You're a bitter man than me.
Yeah. Yeah. Not going back.
What's your go-to McDonald's order?
2 McDoubles. But it's very rare.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. It's like bottom of the basement, but sometimes you just got to scratch that itch.
Right.
And
Right.
a McDouble is a very good
Yeah.
choice.
Yep.
All right. What's a song that you love playing? Worship song that you love playing?
A very old hymn called Power in the Blood. And I do it in kind of a blues style, and that's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
When I have a full band and a harmonica player. Yeah.
That's something we don't have at Church 860 as far as I know.
Not right now.
Yeah. Okay. Dream guitar.
I have a lot of them. I probably have my current dream guitar, but I will say that something that the two that are on my radar, a Gibson 335 in a vintage red finish, 60s neck with PAF humbucking pickups. And the other is I just got back from Nashville today.
Yeah.
And my buddy James that I worked with down there, we went and he bought a vintage reissue Telecaster that had been completely redone by one of the best techs in the world, Joe Glazer.
Yeah.
And I want that guitar.
It was the one that you
Telecaster.
posted.
Oh.
Yeah. That was
Just perfect.
pretty guitar.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. You're speaking language that even I don't understand. So I just because.
Well, isn't that most of the time with me, though?
I suppose to agree. Yeah. To a degree.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Bible verse, story, book, whatever, however you want to answer that?
Same as yours, Romans chapter 12. Yeah, especially the first 3 verses, because as a worship leader, as a worship pastor,
Yeah.
I have a heart for people to understand that worship is not 3, 4, 5 songs. Worship is not singing.
Yeah.
Worship is not hearing a leader or a band. Worship is how you live.
Love it.
What we do on Sundays is express it together to bless Jesus Christ.
Very good. Very good answer. If you could give one piece of advice to someone thinking about serving more at church, what would it be?
Really pray. Think of all the reasons you should not. Every single reason you should not. And if it still won't let you go, then move forward.
Yeah.
Too many people serve for the wrong reasons, a sense of duty. Nobody else is doing it. Somebody has to.
Yeah.
Or maybe they want to be in charge of something.
Power tripping.
Maybe. Or just important. Be important. Feel like they are something someplace where they aren't other places. And it's very, very easy to get burnout, to get dejected.
Yeah.
To get kind of just strung out and wrung out. And so if you are not 100% called into it beyond any shadow of your doubt, you're not going to last, and you're going to do like Peter did. You're going to cut off ears. You're going to do the wrong thing for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. Any final thoughts?
Juicy fruit. No. Some people that will seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest will get that.
Yeah, I don't know that I have. So
yeah, I guess just my final thought is, we talked about eldership tonight, and I don't know that a lot of people, even people in church, understand what a scriptural elder is.
Mm-hmm.
And when we read in Timothy and Titus, when Paul kind of gives the tenets for church leadership, an elder is to be somebody that can fulfill the role of pastor shepherd.
Yeah.
They are what a lot of people now would call an associate pastor or an assistant pastor in a lot of churches. Mm-hmm. Some people mistake it for deacons. That's not what a deacon is.
Right.
But an elder is somebody who comes alongside the primary shepherd to support them. Mm. And to help in that shepherding, and to step up and look over the flock and take care of that sheepfold when the pastor can't, and back each other up. Yeah. And I don't know that that's fully understood a lot of times, even amongst elders.
Yeah, that's great. And I will say that you and Khris have done that exceptionally well.
Well, praise the Lord for it.
I'm grateful for that. So hard to believe that hour went by incredibly quickly.
Very fast.
It was pretty awesome. Thank you for sharing your testimony and some insight as to who you are. You guys, those that attend Church 860, will have the opportunity to hear Rob teach in a couple weeks as Michelle and I take a break, and I'll be excited for that.
I'm preaching out of 4th Chronicalonians.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
No,
it'll be in Luke.
You're not. And so with that, we'll end this episode 16 of the live860 podcast, recorded here at Never Ending Studios. Thank you for opening your studio for us to record.
My pleasure.
I want to say thank you to Lisa, our producer extraordinaire, who always does an amazing job, and grateful for the work and effort that she puts in week after week.
Yes.
This is the end of season 1 of our journey in the Live860 podcast. We're going to be taking a break, actually probably for the rest of the year.
Right.
Hopefully starting up the first Thursday that's not the holiday in 2026. So I think January 8th will be our first episode in the book of Ruth. So we finish Judges. We'll just move right into the next book and into the book of Ruth, and work our way through the historical books. In the meantime, if you are an avid subscriber to what we do, you can watch for some bonus material to be dropped in between now and then, just to keep people plugged in. And we don't know exactly what we're going to do yet, but it should be fun.
Yeah.
And tonight has been a lot of fun. Thank you, Rob.
Yep, my pleasure.
So with that, we'll say God bless. We love you. And go out and live 860.